Good morning, Commissioners, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the December 9th, 2021 Cumberland County Commissioners Workshop Meeting. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I called this meeting to order at 9 a.m. and at this time I open up the floor to public comments. Okay, hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on then to agenda item number 3. I'll call on Carl Goshorn to discuss our holiday food donation. Carl.
Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to present the Christmas tree donation to the County Commissioners for 2021. Conaway's Pine Haven Tree Farm, located on Pine Road in Newville, just a stone's throw from Penn Township Fire Hall, is donating the tree this year. It's an 8-foot con-color fir, valued at $60. I'd like to thank Facilities Management for transporting the tree from Pine Haven, and also for Tammy Shear for decorating the tree this year. Conaway's has worked with us a lot in the past. I think this is the 3rd year. The last 8 years they've donated a tree to the County Commissioners. So that's a pretty nice gesture for them. So if you need a tree for this year, it's a good place to go get one. So thank you.
Any questions for Carl?
No, it is beautiful.
It is.
The tree is beautiful. The decorations are beautiful. I love the dog theme. And we've got our canines on there. It's awesome.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
We'll move on then to agenda item number 4. I'll call on Dana Best to discuss resolution 2021-30 regarding a budget adjustment. Dana?
Good morning. Hotel tax is requested to increase revenues and expenses by $500,000 for estimated hotel tax collections for the remainder of the year.
Any questions for Dana?
Thank you.
Thank you. The next agenda item is resolution 2021-31 regarding a tax exempt bonds reimbursement resolution. And Donna Kreiser is here from McNeese Wallace and Nurek to discuss that along with Dana Best and Ron Snow.
I'm sorry. Good morning, Commissioners. Like Stacey said, we have Donna Kreiser here from McNeese Wallace and Nurek, and we're asking for approval on a tax exempt bond reimbursement resolution for the B25 radio project. So this will allow us to start incurring costs for that project and pay ourselves back later once we actually do the bond issuance. So this will give us some flexibility of when we do that bond issuance and hopefully time the market so we can maximize our market conditions.
I'll just mention to supplement that in September of 2019, the commissioners adopted a reimbursement resolution for this project, but the estimated project costs were a bit lower than anticipated. And to ensure that you'll be able to reimburse the funds that you'd like to reimburse, regardless of whether or not you need to, we've just proposed adopting this reimbursement resolution to supplement the original one and increase the amount of dollars that you may use from the county's general fund to reimburse yourself from bond proceeds. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Donna or for Ron?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 6 is resolution 2021-32. I'll call on Mary Kuna, Executive Director of the Cumberland County Housing and Development Authority, to discuss the amendment to the Emergency Solutions Grant for coronavirus.
Okay, sure. So this was actually on your agenda last month, but it was approved, and then we went back to DCD and they came back and asked for 2 weeks of public comment, not a public hearing, but a public comment period. So we're back again, essentially, but this was the Emergency Solutions Grant COVID funds, and they have actually provided the county with additional funding through that program, which it's going to be used for emergency shelter activities. So they're giving the county an additional $53,000. Yes, so that would be it. That's for this one.
Any questions? All right, thank you. And Mary is also here to discuss Resolution 2021-33 regarding the 2020 Emergency Solutions Grant.
Yes, so our county is pretty popular with emergency solutions money, and it's because we actually spend it fairly well, and we have great partners that do a phenomenal job. So the state reached out and asked us if we wanted an extension for the ESG 2020 funds. That would move our timeline to spend them from January basically to May. So of course, our partners would love a little extra time, never hurts. So we are requesting that extension as a county. Then we're also looking to move some of those funds around. So we want to move about $19,000 just because it's becoming the winter months and we see a need. $5,000 would go from rapid rehousing to actually street outreach case management because of the point in time count we're doing, particularly with our shelters. We're going to take about $10,000 again from that rapid rehousing rental assistance, and we're going to move that over to the emergency shelter operations for community cares. We're taking $2,000 from our HMIS, which is our homeless administrative system, and we'd like to move that over to case management. We're just seeing a greater need for that, and then $2,000 would be moved from financial services to case management. So we work with some folks on their finances, but actually we're seeing much more need in the mental health arena. So that case management component. So those would be the move for that $19,000. We're just sort of moving line items. But then the state came back and said there's additional money. So again, they to give some additional money. It's available. So we as a county would like to request an additional $50,224.34 in additional funds, which would be used for emergency shelter operations at community cares. Again, that would cover their administration and their shelter costs. They've been a phenomenal partner. They know how to spend this money very well and provide services. So for that 2020, we're moving our timeline, moving around some money, and then seeking additional funds. Okay. Thank you.
Any questions for Mary? Thank you, Mary. Agenda item number 8 is contracts and grants. I'll call on Tammy Hershey to present those.
Thank you, Stacy. Agenda item number 8, numeral 1A through D is existing contracts, contract extensions, or addenda with no additional cost or increase to the county for CNRC, drug and alcohol, finance, and human resources. Commissioners, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding these agreements? Now we will move on to agenda item number 8, numeral 2A through I, which consists of new contracts, vendor services agreements, and contracts with increases or decreases to the county. I'll begin by calling on Kim Winton to discuss the contracts for aging and community services. Kim.
Hi, good morning. As you can see, my name changed. I'm now Winton instead of Bittner. But Shippensburg Produce Outreach is a new food pantry that we're partnering with effective January 1st. They will distribute state food purchase program and temporary emergency food assistance food in the Shippensburg area. And this is due to King's Kettle, the pantry that's currently distributing the food. They will be closing as of December 31st. The nutrition group, they provide hot and frozen meals and bag lunches. And the amendment is for an increase in the rate due to the increased cost in food and gas prices.
Commissioners, any questions for Kim? No. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Next, I will call on Jamie River to discuss the contracts for children and youth. Jamie?
Morning, Commissioners. The first contract that we have is with Cornell Abraxas Group. It is an addendum to their current contract. They actually ended up changing the name of their Abraxas Youth Center Shelter to Leadership Development Program Abraxas South Mountain Shelter. And they also increased the rate from $316.82 to $361.50 per day. They are probably one of our few shelters that we have to use, so we definitely want to make sure we keep their contract in place. The second one is Genesis Home of New Beginnings. They are a group home for girls. Their contract is coming in at just over 18% lower than last year. However, they are appealing that, and if they do win that appeal, we will probably revisit this. However, for now, this is their contracted rate for 21-22.
Questions for Jamie?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jamie. I will now call Michelle Cyber to discuss the contracts for District Attorney's Office. Michelle?
Good morning. We have our Stop Violence Against Women grant effective of 2022, and some of those funds pass through to YWCA and domestic violence. And we need pass-through agreements, and that's what's before your board today.
Any questions, commissioners? Thank you. Next, I call on Brent Durham to discuss the contracts for facilities. Brent?
Good morning, everyone. The first one is this contract is with Interstate Building Maintenance for the daily janitorial cleaning at the main courthouse, Dennis Marion Building, and Domestic Relations Building. We'd like to exercise the option of a one-year extension to the current contract. This extension will come with a $61.43 increase per day for $15,296.07 for the year. We feel this increase is acceptable for a couple of different reasons. One, there's been a significant increase in cost of products over the last year and a half. The labor market issues are driving labor costs. And also I look back at the 2019 bids when they came in, and even at these increased costs, this company would still have been a little better then. Moving on, Centrica. We're asking permission to enter into a 5-year revenue contract with Centrica Business Solutions. This is a demand response program that we've participated in for approximately 10 years now. In a nutshell, this program pays us for the ability to shed electric on demand through the use of our generators. We've had several years now where we've only been required to run the generators once, and that was, simply to prove that we could, that we could go off the grid for a certain amount of power when called upon. The estimated amount we'll receive over the next 5 years as part of this program is $123,131. I will point out there's two differences in this contract from previous contracts. First is a name change. Previously, the company was Direct Energy, and the Centrica was a sister company. Direct Energy was sold, and however, Centrica was not part of the sale. The Centrica division was the one that handled all of our accounts all along anyway. So we still deal with the same people. It's just a change in the name. The second change in the past, this program was a summer only obligation from May to October, and it now includes a winter obligation, which is November through April. The addition of the winter obligation is not of any concern to us. Any questions on that one? Moving forward, the next one is Kent. We're asking for permission to enter a 3-year contract with George A. Kent for our fire extinguisher inspections and maintenance. This 3-year contract is in the amount of $21,204, which is an increase of $1,423.50 over the 3 years. About $420 of this dollars of this increase is due to additional extinguishers that we've added since the last contract, and about $1,000 is due to increases in the actual fire extinguisher inspection fees. We are required by the National Fire Protection Association to have maintenance performed on all of our extinguishers yearly, and this needs to be done by a certified technician, which is why this contract is needed. And also, as an FYI, we do in-house what we are required and allowed to do by code with these extinguishers, which consists of monthly inspections and the record keeping of those inspections. Next up is Jory Properties. This request is an addendum to the current lease agreement with Jory Properties for the property located at 229 Mill Street in Mount Holly Springs. This property is used as a magisterial district judge office. This addendum is a 5-year lease extension with a 3% escalation charge. The increase equates to $96.36 or $5,781.60 over the 5-year term. It also includes an option to renew in 2027 for another 5 years with a 3% escalation charge. And then lastly is we're asking permission to enter a 5-year lease agreement with East Pennsboro Township for the property at 98 South Enola Drive in Enola. This is an ongoing lease with the township where the site, is used as a magisterial district judge office. This 5-year lease has a 2% escalation charge in year 2, which increases the cost by $80.55 a month for $3,866.40 over the 5-year term. Any questions?
Just very minor. The contract terms for all these are listed, but there's no beginning and end dates. I don't know if that's should be added to this for clarity. Just a suggestion.
We'll make sure that they are added. I know we did pick up, there was an error in the ending date in the paperwork somewhere, but we'll make sure that's corrected.
Thank you.
Questions for Brent? Thank you, Brent.
Thank you.
I will now call on Holly Sherman to discuss the contract for human resources. Holly?
Good morning, Commissioners. This contract is with Evergreen Solutions LLC. It is a contract with them to conduct a total compensation study for the county, reviewing our compensation, classification, and benefits as it relates to the market around us.
Questions for Holly?
I have some comments and I guess questions. We've had discussion on this for a while now, and I continue to feel that all the data supports the premise that this is the wrong time to do this. You're in an overheated, disrupted labor market. We have had some of the foremost authorities on workforce sit before this board and tell us that the labor market currently is akin to a game of musical chairs where the room has been turned upside down, shaken, and then right-sided up. And that the chairs aren't even set back up, much less people landing in the right chairs. So we're proposing to take a snapshot in time here and to base the county's largest single outlay, which is our compensation of people. And we're going to set that by this snapshot in time that we've been advised will be very unrepresentative, most likely, of the labor markets. So the bottom line is here, let's not kid ourselves, this is going to cost the county taxpayers a great sum of money. It will likely put us in a position of being a permanent contributor to wage inflation in this area, because unlike the private sector, when this market settles, we won't be able to adjust wages accordingly in line with the market. We will set a new and much higher base that's going to be supposedly in the name of competitiveness and recruiting. If we're trying to address a problem in one fell swoop that needs to be managed over time through very smart tactical decisions, this seems to me to be taking the easy way out, but it's not going to be easy. In a few years, I think the public's going to look back on this and realize that if we do this, this is going to be one of the worst decisions made by this Board of Commissioners, because there's a price to be paid, and it's easy to say yes to it now, but the price is going to come due later on. And we've sort of seen this story before in its own form when the county was debating reassessments, where we had commissioners pushing for us to take that snapshot in time in the midst of overheated markets so that they could get the result they wanted. I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but I'm saying the end result will be very similar. And I think it's going to put us in a very bad place budget-wise, and it's going to force others around us to now to chase the tail of county government as they try to fill their positions. We're trying to actively address workforce development in this county in a very proactive means. The individual I mentioned earlier was here and gave not a formal recommendation, but gave observations in regards to this labor market. That individual is working in partnership with us to make sure that Cumberland County remains a competitive workforce development place through appropriate pricing and appropriate availability of skills. So it seems like we are working at cross purposes here. If we become essentially part of the problem instead of part of the solution, I think that simply delaying this by 6 months, reevaluating in 6 months, possibly undertaking it in 6 months or 12 months would make far more sense if we're really seeking to price ourselves in line with where the market will be when we need it, instead of where the market is right now, as Mr. McCree said, a game of musical chairs in which the room has been turned upside down, shaken and right-sided, and the chairs are still on the floor. So I'm very opposed to this, as you can tell. I'm very disappointed it continues to be brought forward and pushed as some type of one fell swoop solution to our recruitment issues. It is not that, in my professional opinion. So I've registered my opinion. I'm going to be a no vote if this goes to a vote on Monday.
To provide some response to that, this is the study, and part of that will be to provide several recommendations and or options as a result of this study. So this is not committing us to putting anything in place at this point in time.
Yeah, we heard that argument also during the last salary survey, as well as reassessment. We get so far down the road that it's like, oh, we spent all this money we can't possibly back out now. The project gained so much momentum, nobody wants to put the brakes on. So that's just the realism of it. I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is true, but it's also not the only factor at play here.
Holly, I just want to ask a question of you, because I want to make sure that I'm remembering this correctly. Salary Board has had several meetings about this. Am I correct? Okay.
Yes.
As a member of Salary Board, I want to make sure I'm remembering correctly. And am I accurate in remembering that Salary Board voted that we would go ahead and pursue this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have no objection. This actually should have been done a couple of years ago. And like you said, it's options, recommendations. You don't have to take anything.
Well, the die is cast. It's clear. It's clear the die. We can always say, well, the decision's down the road, but it's clear the die is cast here.
Thank you, Holly. I have no more questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Next, I will call on Sue Cardwell to discuss the contracts for MHIDD. Sue?
Yes, good morning. We have two contracts today. The first one is an early intervention contract, Connections Early Intervention and Supports. It's an amendment to their fiscal year 21-22 contract for $31,364 due to them doing additional services for the children. The second contract, which is Bold Inc., is an ID contract. It is a renewal for fiscal year 21-22. They are decreasing their contract at this time, and the amount of the contract is $20,456. They do respite for us at this point in time. Is there any questions?
Commissioners? No. Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
I will now call on Kirk Stoner to discuss the contract for planning as well as agenda item number 12. Kirk?
Thank you, Tammy. Commissioner's first agenda item is an addendum to Monroe Township's Cumberland Plans Grant Program. Earlier this year, we awarded Monroe Township a grant to update their zoning ordinance. As they started that effort, they recognized that they would like to pursue an official map, which is another excellent planning tool that a lot of our municipalities have adopted. Cost to the county in terms of the extra grant funds will be $1,377, which we have available funds to do that. The Cumberland County Planning Commission's Grant Review Committee reviewed this and has recommended approval to the Board of Commissioners.
Questions, Commissioners?
Kirk, you might not know this right off the cuff, but how current is Monroe's comp plan?
Monroe's comp, I believe, is 2005, Vince. Yeah. They are, so in this process, Vince, they haven't formally committed to updating their comprehensive plan, but they are reviewing it as they look at their zoning ordinance to verify that, hey, generally it's still the vision that they want to move towards.
Thanks.
Yep.
Next item, Kirk.
Okay, sure. Next agenda, Tammy, I'm covering the next one on the bridges as well then.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So Commissioners, the final agenda item here for me is the authorization to advertise for our 3-bridge bundle. This will involve our final 3 bridges as part of our bridge capital improvement program. So looking back now, we're starting to look back in 2015, we really started our bridge capital improvement program. Seems like a long time ago, but we are at the end now. So we committed to, improving all of our structurally deficient bridges. These are our final remaining 3 bridges to do that. We've grouped them together for some cost savings that we think we can achieve because they're similarly sized and similarly located bridges. So our plan here would be to get approval on Monday for authorization to advertise, and then working with our solicitor's office, we go through the advertisement process next week and look at a notice to proceed on this project in March. So we get underway. So again, 3 bridges, estimated cost on this is, several $1 million, around $3-4 million. Again, the market right now for bidding is a little mixed up as well. So we'll see what we come back with, but we're hoping for competitive bids.
Questions, Commissioners? Okay. Thank you, Kirk.
Thank you.
Next, I will call on Claudia Gardner to discuss the contracts for public safety as well as agenda item number 11. Claudia.
Good morning, everybody. The first item we have is the Homeland Security Grant Program for federal fiscal year 21 in the amount of $1.2 million. That is divided among the 9 counties in the task force region. Dauphin County acts as our fiduciary county, so we won't actually see the funds coming in or the expenses going out of our Lawson accounting system. So this is for us to have one signature sheet in there in that grant, and we'll submit that back to Dauphin and they'll return to PEMA. It is federal funding. It is a little bit of a decrease from last year, $114,000. And that money is all spent on projects to benefit the task force as a whole. So we benefit sometimes with our equipment, let's say the mobile unit, satellite connection, or equipment at the fire companies. It's distributed amongst the 9 counties. The second, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I jump ahead, pardon me.
Sorry, Tammy. The second one we have is B. Moyer Radio Communications. This is an annual maintenance agreement for all of the 800 portable and mobile radios. And this is for our county departments only. So it would be hazmat, public safety, district attorney, the prison. This is for $13,680. And that is 1 year. It is an increase of $1,464 only because there were additional pieces of equipment added. The hazmat team added a radio and the DA's office added 4 additional radios. So that's the reason for the increase. The contract itself covers traveling to our location to fix things or to pick them up and take them back to the shop, on-site diagnostics, parts and labor to repair back to the manufacturer specs, and also a 10% discount on non-covered parts.
Any questions for Claudia on that? Thank you. Now, Claudia, if you would move on to agenda item number 11, and I'd like to note that this is action requested.
Sure. Actually, this is the representation letter from Mayor Duzel, who is the auditor for the 911 Uniform Fund program. It is required by PEMA to have the funds audited. While PEMA does their own audit, this is their third party to make sure everything is stated correctly on our financials. And this representation letter says that they have done their part of the agreement. We have done our part. We've provided all the documentation they've requested, and they have found nothing in error. So we'll get a full report back, and you'll receive copies of that at the Commissioner's office as well as our office once the representation letter is submitted to them. And that is action requested today, please.
Questions first. We do need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the management representation letter in connection with the audit of the program financial statement of the 911 program of Cumberland as presented today.
I second that motion.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Claudia.
everyone. I appreciate it.
I will now call on Justin Miller to discuss the contracts for recycling and waste. Justin?
Thank you, Tammy. Item one, back at the end of September, you approved submission of a recycling grant to the state. A component of that was sponsoring a food waste recycling project for Dickinson College, which in my opinion is a good project to sponsor. Included in the application was an unsigned copy of an agreement between the county and Dickinson outlaying responsibilities. My thought was it makes sense to sign that if we knew we were going to be selected for an award. But during the pre-application meeting, DEP asked that we move ahead and sign that, I think to show our seriousness. And they gave us, they asked that we try to get something to them by the end of the year. Dickinson College has now signed the agreement. So I'm bringing it to you, asking for your signature on the agreement. Any questions about that item? Second item is the standard household hazardous waste reimbursement and record of operations information for our last event of 2021, which was held on October 28th. Of the 4 events we held this year, it was the second largest event. And when you add all 4 events together, this was the largest year in terms of number of customers and weight received. The 50% reimbursement for the October event is $16,096.51. And the record of operations will, the total weight for that was 38,701 pounds. And by the way, I will be coming to you soon here with our plans for 2022. But any questions on the household hazardous waste grant?
Hearing
All right.
none. Justin.
Finally, about 2 years ago, we started a process. You approved applying for a recycling grant to buy a new screening machine. We were offered a grant agreement. You accepted that. We selected a machine. You approved purchase. And I'm now eager to get our 90% reimbursement back, which amounts to $350,000. This is the application to do that.
Questions for Justin? None. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
That concludes the contracts. I will now turn the meeting back over to Stacy Snyder.
Thank you, Tammy. Agenda item number 9 is discussion and approval to reaffirm the engagement of Saltsman Hughes as special counsel for assessment appeals. And I'll call on our solicitor, Keith Brenneman, to discuss. And please note this is an action requested item today.
Morning, Commissioners. This is a request to reaffirm the engagement of Saltsman Hughes. They will be engaged for purposes of assessment appeals on a matter-by-matter basis. As with any appointment of special counsel, it requires the president, judge, and the county code to approve it, and that has been approved by Judge Guido. So I'm asking for action on that today, please. Questions?
Yeah, Keith, so this is on a matter-by-matter basis?
Correct.
Does it have to go back to President Judge Guido on each matter?
It does not.
Okay.
That is at the discretion of the commissioners. It'll start with the Shaner appeal.
Okay. Any additional questions? Yeah. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I will move to reaffirm the engagement of Saltsman Hughes as special counsel for assessment appeals on a matter-by-matter basis.
Second. It's moved and seconded. There's no further questions. Call the vote. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'll also ask our solicitor to discuss agenda item number 10, which is also a motion to reaffirm. Solicitor.
Commissioners, you're familiar with this process. The Tax Claim Bureau, when properties are not sold at the upset sale, judicial sale, by law have to place the properties in repository of unsold properties, at which point, in order to get them back on the tax rolls, they can sell the properties with the consent of the taxing districts to an individual by private sale. The list provided to you provides those properties that people have agreed to purchase, and the Tax Claim Bureau is requesting your consent to sell those properties by approving repository sales.
This is also an action requested item.
Any questions?
Not, motion please.
Move to reaffirm approval of the Tax Claim Bureau's repository sale consent.
I second that motion.
Moved and seconded, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
We've already discussed agenda items 11 and 12, so we'll move on to agenda item 13, which is discussion the Agricultural Land Preservation Board reappointment recommendations, and I'll call on Commissioner DiFilippo to discuss.
Yes, we have a current board member who has requested to be reappointed. Such recommendation was unanimous from the Ag Land Preservation Board. So I'll be asking for Gary's Martin's reappointment on Monday. We also have another open position. We've received quite a few resumes. You have some good candidates that will come for a recommendation at a future meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner. Agenda item number 14 is discussion of the Drug and Alcohol Commission Community Advisory Board reappointment recommendation, and I'll call on Sally Kammerer to discuss.
Good morning. This is a reappointment of a current board member, Ted Four. We seek a 3-year term for Ted. He's been an active member and a very committed member to our Community Advisory Board.
Any questions for Sally? Thank you, Sally.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 15 is discussion of reappointment recommendations to the local emergency planning committee, and also the announcement of a resignation. I'll call on Commissioner Fauci to discuss.
So the LEPC wants to announce the resignation from the LEPC of Christopher Rolk. He has been a member of the LEPC since 2017. They are recommending the reappointment of Robert Kaufman, Gregory Lebo, Dennis McGee, Daniel Burnt, and Jason Smith, effective upon PEMA reappointment through December 31, 2025. And they are asking for the reappointment of me, Jean Fauci, effective upon PEMA reappointment through December 31, 2022.
Thank you, Commissioner. Agenda item number 16 is capital project requests. And I'll start by calling on Sally to join us again to talk about the request for drug and alcohol.
Yes, we have a request to purchase what the industry calls experience management software. It's Qualtrics software that allows us to collect data, analyze data, and report data. And we have a 1-year agreement with the option to renew for an additional 4 years. So we seek approval for the purchase of that software.
Any questions for Sally? Yeah. Move on then to Eric Radnovich on the request for FID. Eric.
Good morning, Commissioners. This request is for the District Attorney's Office for the new conference room at Rittner Highway. It's for $27,497.54 for a comprehensive barcode video conferencing system for the new conference room.
Any questions for Eric? Okay, and I'll call on Mark Adams then to discuss the capital project for IMTO. Mark?
Good morning, Commissioners. We have a need to replace our current log server. Our log server basically retrieves logs from servers, network equipment, and user logs to bring into one central repository for analysis for security purposes. Our current log server is at end of life. We need to purchase a new appliance and some consulting to migrate all that data into the new environment. The cost is $49,000 for that system.
Any questions for Mark? All right, thank you all. We move on then to agenda item number 17, which is Commissioner's Liaison Reports, and I'll start by calling on Commissioner Michaelberger.
Okay, not a lot there to report out. Justin gave us the essentials of what's happening in recycling right now, so don't need to cover that. Only other item, as mentioned earlier, moving forward, workforce development task force for CADIC, and so we can essentially engineer a forward-looking program to address workforce issues. First meeting is tomorrow morning. And hopefully we'll have some preliminary concepts decided, and we can start building out the formal strategy. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Boschi.
I would remind everyone to please use the Cumberland County Library System because it is fantastic. I have very little also, but I did want to go ahead and take this opportunity to talk about the district map that has been proposed by the Republicans at the state. And last week, Commissioner DiFilippo and I penned and executed a letter to the redistricting committee asking for some things in Cumberland County. And although it was a state level ask, most certainly this new map, proposed map, when you look at the congressional districts, does not do anything that Commissioner DiFilippo and I requested. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner DiFilippo.
I have no official liaison reports, but I just want to mention, about a month ago, I had mentioned a concern about lack of median barriers on Route 81 between exits 52, which is New Kingston, Middlesex, and 57, which is Mechanicsburg. I will be meeting with Chris Beardock, who's our PennDOT representative from this area, on December 22nd at 9 a.m. at the maintenance facility just west of town. Colleagues, you are welcome to attend. It's an informational meeting, and just want to get some answers as to why that situation is what it is and what PennDOT can potentially be doing to address it. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I do have a question on it. That's predominantly a hats issue, right?
I don't know, Gary.
I don't think hats would be the vehicle to go through for that. So one of you two is the delegate for hats. I'm not sure which one.
I am.
You are?
I think Commissioner DiFilippo's approach to start with Chris Durda is the good way to start.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to report that an executive session was held on December 8th, 2021 at 9:30 a.m. regarding personnel. Is there any additional business to come before the board today?
Stacy, just one thing on item 14. I noticed his last name is spelled two different ways. On the letter we have, there is no L in his name. We could just get that right from one.
Yes, that is very important to do. Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
I have a feeling that's probably Microsoft Word and spell check.
Probably.
Autocorrect, but thank you, Commissioner. We'll certainly do that. Any other business to come before the board today? All right, hearing none, seeing none, we are adjourned.